and welcome to Dungeons and DankMemes, a fantasy role-playing show. My name is Connor Collins, Dungeon Master for the show, and I'll be leading our party through the adventure and peril to be found in the land of Irden. We are playing Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition, but be warned, there will be some house rulings. The show is just getting started, and for now will be in YouTube and podcast formats with live streaming close on the horizon. You can find more information about the show at dandankmemes.com. The link to the site and a bunch of other information can be found in the thingy below the video, or for the podcast, in the episode description. And now to the show. We hope you'll adventure with us. Enjoy.
So Elden is just like wide-eyed watching all of this unfold.
This is very normal.
Large bug, let's go.
In a manner of speaking.
We need to go to my lady.
Please.
Agreed. Please lead on. I am going to undo the weird little neckerchief clasp corpse that I have going on and just carry her like normal at this point.
Carry a corpse normally.
Well, yeah, like you would carry a normal thing not wearing it.
Your friend that is mostly dead.
Yeah. To blame. Which of course means to bluff.
I'm gonna walk up in front with Elden. Which doesn't seem
so
right,
Elden's actually at this point taken off and is kind of flying in front of you guys, looking back over his shoulder every once in a while.
Yep.
Are we going the same direction the
Following.
Scarecrow went, or a different direction?
It's actually a pretty similar direction. You don't know which way he went when he entered the tree line, obviously.
Guys, I saw the Scarecrow that killed our friend went that way.
That's
Priorities.
I'm going to shove Bernard.
Certainly an interesting account of the events, but
so just kind of like a friendly.
Not a friendly.
You're
like,
done.
I'm mad at him, but I'm not going to want to hurt him.
Is it the sort of thing that if you were not careful, you could push him over with the force
Probably
of it?
not.
You're going to shoulder check me.
Okay, so
Like,
make an attack roll.
Like this.
I don't want to make an attack roll. Yeah, like that.
If you want to do
Okay,
things
friendly,
in the
fine.
game-
Friendly shove. I don't feel like I should.
Okay.
I cast friendly shove.
Fine, you kind of just give him a push on the shoulder.
Shut up.
like you can make him roll intimidation.
I don't really want to scare him. I just
Okay.
want to tell him to shut up.
That's fair.
Okay.
I like flavor.
Wow, that was okay.
Okay.
No sass, just okay.
yeah, Bernard failed his save versus conscience.
He begins to think like maybe that fireball thing could have been my fault.
Yeah. Maybe
I still wasn't my fault.
maybe some of the problems in my life are because of me.
Nah.
This can't be right.
Maybe the things I do affect other people in strange ways.
See? This is therapy. We're getting it. We're getting serious.
I feel like we've made a breakthrough, everybody.
All right,
Friendship level 4.
all right, and that's going to do it for this session. Thank you guys.
Wait, I'm still dead. No, bitch. You gotta bring me back to life.
Cool. So Elden is leading you guys through the woods.
Over the river and
Chicken over their
A lot of very
House.
similar from what you've seen
Gary had a
before.
little
Just like looks like real old tangled forest.
Esteban had a little pixie.
Moonlight shining in patches through the trees. Strange lights forming and disappearing. Purples.
Can I try and grab a
greens.
light as we're walking?
Never close to you.
Damn.
Never close to you. Always off in the distance. Almost
Doesn't really
like,
hit our
did
eyes
I
like a big
actually
pizza
see
pie.
that sort of thing?
That's the thing.
And
Yeah, I know everyone's like a little pissed off at me for what the Scarecrow did to us, but is there any way somebody could help me with my flesh that's falling off my body from all these burns?
Absolutely not.
I will
Okay.
put a single claw on him, and you regain 5 HP.
Oh, thank you, Lash. I really appreciate
I'm
that.
gonna cure
I mean, on
wounds
that note, I'm not
myself.
looking too great either. Just saying.
That was it for me, actually.
Okay.
That was my last
Okay,
point
that's
of
fine.
Here, I will do cure wounds on me, which is not a d20.
That'd be pretty sick.
I do cure wounds with a d20.
I just decide that. Right?
I heal for 19.
Not what I've been rolling tonight.
I actually just rolled a 19.
I use my cantrip, restore all hit points.
And then
Good crit.
I'll use my first level spell, Find the Bad Scarecrow.
Yeah, he is really bad.
It says it just works. So
Yeah, like no
checks,
need to roll.
Nothing.
Like, you win Dungeons and Dragons.
Okay, so
Hey man, we're done then.
7 on
We
myself.
solved the game.
Go home.
We solved your
She's
scarecrow
still dead,
puzzle.
but we're done. We're good.
Okay, well, while everyone else is
And-
healing, I'm just casting Blade Ward as
No,
we
I'm gonna
walk.
cast it
Oh,
on
great,
you.
thank you.
I'm gonna do Cure Wounds
like-
on
It's
you.
a defense thing.
It's-
7
yeah.
for you too.
Okay,
7
that's
It's like,
better.
do
better than
the heavily armored feet.
less.
Yeah.
It like reduces non-magic damage.
It's resistance to like force damage and stuff, but I can only cast it on myself, and it only lasts for 1 round. So I'd just be like
Constantly.
the whole time.
I'm going through so many spell slots.
It's a
I thought we
cantrip.
established that it was.
Oh yeah.
That's canon. So
Just repeat it like Rocky.
Vatican City. Please sponsor us.
actually, I think there's a lot of money there. So please,
Holy
sponsor.
Father.
We know D&D and Catholicism go hand in hand.
Lovely. Okay. Yeah. So at one point during the journey, you're about 20 minutes into the traveling. You see Elden begin to like look off into the woods to the right several times, and
Insight check.
Elden, what do your pixie eyes see?
12 insight.
15 for me.
so it looks like he sees something, is noticing something.
Nice.
Like he's
Excellent.
gonna try to run away, or
No,
Hey, Elden,
it
what's
looks
that?
like he's keeping like course, but
Okay.
he's seen something. He says,
Elden, what's going on?
I'm not sure I trust him.
I think we're being watched.
Well, but maybe he's not.
I mean, we're within what 5 minutes of your place. Is it your people?
We're not that close, but
Oh, you said it was a 25-minute walk. We've been walking for 20 minutes, so I just kind of thought.
You know, I thought like you weren't a liar.
I'm not
you
the
had
best
perfect
judge
map
of time
assessment
always. And the
as the pixie fly.
woods.
He falls back like, yeah, that was if you're walking 3 miles an hour. You're walking 2 miles an hour. So suck it.
And he actually like says he gets like a really serious look. He's like, sometimes the woods they shift.
That's real
Just like
convenient.
Hogwarts.
Real
Like
convenient.
the stairs.
Hogwarts, please sponsor. Just the castle.
Just the stairs.
Someone must have
Just
built
the
it. They probably
stairs.
have an estate somewhere.
I throw.
The
We
wizards.
know who
Masonry
built
Guild.
it, guys.
Was it? I don't remember. Gryffindor.
It was all 4 of them together.
Okay.
Okay, I throw a firebolt in the direction
Gryffindor.
he's looking,
It was all 4 houses.
which is a natural.
The- well,
so
the-
4 houses
Godric-
built a castle.
Godric Gryffindor,
No,
Salazar
yeah.
Slytherin,
Literally hits
Rowan
and
They were
Ravenclaw.
people?
Yeah.
I should have read the book.
and Helena.
Okay, so yeah, you pick up exactly
Helga.
where his
Was it?
eyes were
Helga
darting.
Hufflepuff.
Oh,
Or like,
Rowena
do you want me to roll
Ravenclaw,
like a
that's what I was thinking of.
perception before I do that or
Isn't she the
something?
ghost?
I don't know. I just feel like if he's
No,
like
it's a
something's
dog.
watching us and
Yeah,
these woods are
go ahead-
shifting,
go
I'm
ahead
like,
and-
cool. I'm not dealing with anything else
Go ahead and
today.
do go ahead and do a perception.
Harry Potter lore corner.
We talk about Harry Potter.
I
would
think that's
totally watch that.
13 or 15.
It's just us like reciting facts.
Change our podcast.
13.
It's not even
Okay.
any real discussion.
So stop talking about Harry Potter.
No.
We're trying to get it sponsored.
We are trying to launch a podcast.
Harry Potter.
You're trying
like
to
Harry
launch a
Potter.
new podcast.
Yeah, Harry Potter lore
from
corner.
Ours.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a spin-off.
It's a podcast within a podcast.
It's another spin-off.
Podcastception.
Hold on.
There's something to
Stay
this
with me.
actually.
Pottercast? Is that a thing?
No,
already?
we've already established like there's etymology corner
Yes.
and like whatever the other corners. I don't know. There were like 4 or 5 corners.
That's not how. I mean, I guess it depends
It's
on
a
the shape of the
pentagonal room.
I mean, yeah, there's a lot of.
Okay. So Esteban has, being closest to Elden at this point, been able to perceive sort of the direction
emotionally closest?
that
Yeah, true.
it was ambiguous. But
We have a psychic link now. Thank you very much.
That'd been pretty quick.
Bonded.
Yeah.
Let me roll for psychic
Yeah,
link.
it's-
They're friendship
That's
level
only a
5.
3.
There's no.
So
Is Esteban his dad now?
Esteban is looking out the direction that Elden keeps looking and decides like, okay, something's up. Shoots a firebolt critically in the direction that they were looking, and all of a sudden you hear a bunch of small, high-pitched screams like, "Ah!"
Damn it,
You
Elden.
killed some fairies.
You said it wasn't pixies.
And Elden turns. He's like, "What did you do?"
You said something was watching us. You said we weren't close enough to your people, so I was just preemptively attacking.
all of a sudden, from the
he could throw fire and it's
Yeah.
fine, but I throw a little bit of fire and everyone freaks out.
Yes.
What, did you think those pixies might have had WMDs in this woods? Like,
okay, so all of a sudden, like, after that,
burn on the bush
dialogue
administration.
happens. Come on!
I did throw a
Reaching
bird
a goof
into a bush.
Can we progress the story? I want to play again.
I'm doing my best. I really am.
They're 2 feet.
Lil's corpse says, "Can we progress the story?"
She goes back to him just to roll her eyes and then dies again.
Guys.
So as soon as that interchange happens, you all hear from the direction the firebolt went, high-pitched laughter. Like, I don't even know if I can do it, but
Please do.
like they think it was like you get the sense that
You killed SpongeBob.
you get the sense that you missed whatever you were aiming at because you couldn't see it. Whatever, like where you intended to fire, you hit, but you get the sense you probably
Are
didn't
they
kill
still
anyone
laughing? I
because
think they're still
yes,
laughing.
they're still laughing.
This is happening again.
And you still can't see anything, but it sounds like 7 or 8 laughs going on simultaneously.
Does it?
If
What
one
does it
person
sound
walks
like?
out, I'm gonna be really scared.
And they dissipate out as they seem to be leaving, but they continue to laugh.
Oh, what
as
does it sound
they
like more
trail.
quietly?
Elden, does that sound like pixie laughter?
Elden is kind of like, they're troublemakers. They're just.
Street youths.
I like the sound of that.
I'm glad you didn't hurt them, but they're a distraction. They're silly.
Cool. We have
very descriptive.
places to be, so let's keep going.
I don't think there's much more to say. We should go.
Great.
So you guys continue along. The laughing slowly trailing into you can't hear it anymore. Oh, thank you for being that laughter for me because I didn't want to do it again.
Hey, I roll a 16 sleight of hand to in the back of the group pull out the wand again and keep breaking.
Okay, you're doing that.
Cool. I just wanted to let you to know that's what's happening.
There's
There's
more low-hanging
like,
jokes
there's,
here
like-
that I don't want to make. But
Oh no!
Oh.
That's half the reason I keep
Okay.
doing this.
The camera pans way out, and then all of a sudden, in the midst of the dark forest,
mushroom cloud.
And that's the last episode.
This has been Dungeons and DankMemes.
like the logo comes up, the end.
And then a question mark fades in.
To be continued.
And then an X through the question mark. Yes. Done. Great. So, as you guys progress through the woods, the trees are getting taller. Some of them they have white bark, and silvered leaves.
Are they birch trees, or do they still look like the oaks and
They're not birches.
maples and stuff that we saw?
They
Are
look-
they undead ash trees?
No, they look magical. They look like
like an
Lothlorien?
oak, but white and silver.
exactly.
Okay.
That's a 19 Arcana check.
Lost.
Sort of.
What kind of magic is it? What does it do?
Everything looks magical to you.
What do I know about the trees
You're blinded by
specifically?
I'm pretty certain
Magic.
Arcana is only going to tell you whether or not something is magical. So
Yeah, you need to
yes,
detect magic.
the answer is
I'll
yes
detect magic.
to your check.
Get that as a sorcerer.
I have it, but I didn't prepare.
Actually,
I have
Arcana
it.
check won't even tell you if something is magical. According to D&D Beyond, it says your intelligence, Arcana, measures your ability to recall the lore about spells, magical items, eldritch symbols, magical traditions, the planes of existence, and the inhabitants of those planes.
Yeah, you
Great.
might know
So
that.
what do I know about the history of
I know that there's a
trees?
magic thing that involves
Nothing, we're in
silver
a different
trees.
dimension.
You might know that.
yeah.
Or
What do I know?
rods that do
It's
spells.
it's an intelligence check directed toward magic.
Great. So what do I know about these trees and their history and their lore?
Pretty much nothing.
We're in another
You
dimension.
they seem like normal trees.
You've read the 8-volume history, The Silver Trees of the Feywild.
It is riveting.
It's just all pages, and then tree number 1762 grew 2 inches that year.
I'm an accountant. I'm into that.
counting of trees. in the Fae.
Yeah.
Space counting.
That's that was my concentration in college.
I minored in Fae tree counting. Okay.
Bree's over here like, I'm still fucking dead. Assholes.
We were gonna get there. She'd be like, "Man, you took too long to get here. I can't do anything
Yeah,
now."
It only works for
There's-
30 minutes. You
No,
took
you're
31.
It's like a Domino's guarantee.
Hey, we took 0 time investigating that like bush distraction.
Yeah,
so
no,
you're welcome.
we're plowing through.
Um,
Stop playing with your fire wand and burning down the forest potentially, and maybe we'll get there faster.
so you guys.
yeah, that wasn't
Are you-
Flash. That was.
So as
Are
you
you
guys, come out into a sort of clearing, and in the distance you can actually see a lake, which is one of the first bodies of water you've seen since you've been here, and
In life,
yeah, ever.
you're like,
That ocean we were walking along.
what
was-
is this? I try to pick up the water and it runs through my claws.
Did we not? We saw the ocean when we climbed the tree.
Yeah.
I did. At
Yeah,
least.
so
walked
you
along
would
the
have seen that, the water being still
Yes.
when you observed it this
Yes.
time. So you have seen water here, but no one else has observed a body of water. And so,
Whoa.
good job, you did. There are
Hey
several,
guys, this is water.
like,
I don't know if you're familiar.
The big blue wet stuff. Got it.
it's not blue. It's nighttime, so it looks almost black.
Semantics. Super dark blue.
There are a few islands illuminated by moonlight in the lake that you're looking at. It's not a full clearing. Like, there are some sparse trees, and you actually notice, as one of the first things you see, is there is a figure sitting against one of the trees, kind of facing off to the right, seemingly watching something off in that direction, very still, about 70 feet off.
Is it the scarecrow?
21 perception.
Yeah, so you see it looks like a female elf. She has silver hair. Long. You can see her pointed ears. You see that she's dressed in whites and grays, and she has an ivory bow that's kind of just around her chest as she's sitting there. And she doesn't move at all as you guys walk into the clearing. Do you just continue and proceed toward her?
Hey, Elden, do you know who this is?
That's my lady.
Oh, great.
Oh, cool.
Excellent. We approach.
Great.
Or...
So
What's up? We need a resurrection. Chop, chop.
So as you walk up, I need all of you to make another perception
Okay.
check.
As we approach,
All
I
of
want to bow.
I'm
'cause
making a perception check.
She's
Unnatural 20.
3.
13.
that's an 8.
Natural.
At least I roll my
Well, you got an 8?
I got
Yeah.
10.
Okay,
perception checks
so
appropriately.
everyone
Okay.
except for Tehran has the sense that it's otherworldly, right? Because you're in the Fae. So in a similar sense that everything feels weird, you get the sense that this individual is very important, and just almost without being able to control it, you get the sense that she's to be taken seriously, to be respected. And you also kind of see that Elden has actually dropped lower in flight, below the eye level of this individual as he continues to fly toward her. So Tehran is kind of unaware of that.
As per the norm.
Yeah. As you get closer, she hasn't moved at all based on your approach. And just the look of her posture, she looks graceful, even in stillness. and is stunning to look at, just beautiful. Like when you turn and the sun was setting and you weren't paying attention to it, and all of a sudden you see just like the brilliant light of it, and it's kind of like, whoa, okay, that didn't realize sun was setting, that's beautiful. Like it's that sort of, when you see her, it's like affects you like that. Just a moment of wonder. And she's kind of glowing in the same way that the tower was glowing by the moonlight. So that there's sort of this pale silver light that almost seems to be coming from her. So she doesn't look up at you as you approach, but she kind of holds up her hand for you to stop. Elden stops immediately in flight. Do the rest of you stop?
I stop and take a knee.
I'll stop.
Yeah, I stop.
Okay, so Elden goes down onto the ground for the first time, and just kind of goes down on one knee as well, but looks in the direction that his lady is looking. She hasn't looked away from that spot and has just been staring the entire time. And then she kind of just motions for all of you to look.
I do.
Good job, guys, looking.
How many more? Like, I've made like 2 perception checks already in this area.
This is narration.
Okay.
But thanks for participating and looking as she directed.
I'm just... I want to know.
So as you look, if you're looking in that direction, like completely still for like a minute, nothing's happening. And maybe some of you get a little like, what the hell is going on? Like, did I miss something? But after a minute, a silver bud kind of sprouts up about like 25 feet off. Like you can see just a little tiny silver sliver begin to come out of the ground. And then quickly it grows and grows as if like something is flowing out of the ground, and it continues to increase in height and width as it grows, and a tree begins to form just right in front of you, similar to the trees that are kind of littering the area. This one too, with like white silver bark, just climbs and climbs, and after just a couple minutes of standing there watching, it goes from 5 to 10 to 50 feet tall. It looks like a towering ancient oak, and it's the trunk, like this one actually looks like more polished and shiny than all of the others in the area, as if maybe like the new ones as they come up have a different quality about them. It almost looks like if you were to step in front of it and look at it, it would be like a mirror. It's so like it's glowing so brightly. And she sighs, kind of like contentedly. That was lovely, she says. Her words kind of like a song, close to singing. And she turns to face you all, and her eyes are actually glowing, not just reflecting moonlight, but they're actually glowing silver. And she says, hello. And then all of a sudden she like realizes that there's one dead among you. You're all kind of beat up pretty bad. She quickly... We're okay.
No damage. I'm doing just hurt.
She
I've had a good day.
Immediately like lifts her hands, and white light begins to emanate from them, and all of you feel amazing, like you have rested for
like full
weeks.
hit points and spell slots. Amazing.
So mechanically, long rest for all of you.
Okay, so yeah, I don't gain any benefit from that, but okay.
You could have earned spell slots.
And she motions to you.
Oh, actually, I do get my my lay on hands back. So.
And she says, "Quick, lay her down."
I do so.
And she like puts a hand over you, not touching you, but just like moves a
And
glowing
she goes,
white hand.
I'm not touching you. I'm not touching you. I'm not touching you.
She moves a glowing white hand like across your entire body, and then you snap back to awake, breathing, and
But is she alive?
yes.
Did I come back with superpowers?
No. But you.
Good try though. A for effort.
No, you're just back alive.
You're
it.
just back alive.
I'll take it.
Whatever.
Yeah. So then she kind of takes a step back. Her hands stop glowing, and she says, "This is very unexpected. Who are you all? Where have you come from?"
The scarecrow killed our friend.
Her eyes go to Elden, and she says, "Elden, what's going on?"
Do I like know what's going? Like, do I like have remembered what happened to me or anything?
It basically feels like you're waking up from sleep.
Okay.
And the last thing you remember was
Fire.
heat, and bright light. Basically.
I'm imagining you like reaching out to steal the bag as just like fire engulfs everything.
Do I know it was Bernard?
Yeah, I mean,
You knew he had a fire stick, and then
the last things you heard was the scarecrow saying like, "This is the one that shoots fireballs," and
Okay,
then
I'll remember
bright
that.
light and heat, and that's it.
Okay.
anyway, yeah. So I'm gonna say to the lady, my name is Kurlash Mandarek, but everyone calls me Lash if we're friends, and I do hope that we'll be friends.
We should just make a soundbite. No,
there's variations. Is there? Yeah. Sometimes it's a different cadence. It's not always exactly the same wording. He's just trying to be polite.
I just don't want to wear you out because you say
It's
that
like
all
my
the time.
favorite thing. He's a very polite dragon man.
She kind of like walks up to you and she's like, "Hello, I think we could be friends."
Oh, that would be delightful.
And she looks back to Elden. "Elden, where have you been? I've missed your visits. Who are all these people?" Elden, he since has stood after watching the tree come up and has turned toward her and now pulls out his sword, sticks it in the ground and goes down on one knee, says, "Lady, I went too close to the swamps. Hilda got me. I was trying to get the flowers for you, the ones you love." She kind of looks at him with a look you don't quite recognize, and with a smile, and says, "Stand, my loyal pixie. Tell me, did these have something to do with your freedom from Hilda?" And then he says, Yes, these are my friends. I think most of them are my friends.
They kind of want to eat me.
But yes, they did help me. They freed me, and I figured that after this one died, that you'd be able to help. But maybe you can help them get home. I don't know how they got here, and I don't think they know how to get back. And he explains more of kind of the context of the story of how you met, goes into quite a few details, and she seems amused by the amount of detail that he almost like he wants to talk to her, and she's okay with that.
This
she's
is just like Reaper Cheap. My goodness.
But she seems genuinely curious about you all, and basically says, "Can you explain what happened? Why you're here? Where are you from?"
Not really. Barely.
I'm from Mandavolo. I don't know if you know it, but it's a very beautiful country.
Never heard of it.
No, it's a shame. You might like to visit sometime.
And I know all of the regions in this world.
It's quite a bit south.
I think it's fair to say that we're not from this world. Hey, lady, you're beautiful. Do you know the
But I'm
Scarecrow
taken.
Man?
So when you say you're beautiful, she kind of like smirks at you and winks.
Wow.
Like,
Oh, Bernard
dies.
his shit.
Bernard is literally dead.
I'll make a death save right now.
Aneurysm.
Yeah, I succeed on my first death save. Bernard immediately blushes and is like,
Oh, I think she likes you.
this is embarrassing in front of my girlfriend. Do you
I'm
know?
his girlfriend.
Do you know the Scarecrow Man? He killed our friend.
I just kind of look at you.
what does the Scarecrow
Stab.
Man have to do with any of this?
He was in the White Tower, and then he gave me this stick, and he said, here's this cool thing, and then it exploded, and we all almost died, and then he ran away. Somehow he can move faster than the speed of sound and the speed of light, and I tried to kill him, or at least stop him, but he ran away, and he was running this direction, and then I don't know where he is.
Okay.
Maybe she's the Scarecrow Man.
This is the Fae. Things aren't always as they seem. She like listens to the whole thing, and she's basically like, I don't know who that is, but what does that have to do with? Are you still seeking him? Is he?
Well, he killed our friend.
Is
And
he?
also, he seems to have a shitload of magical items.
He did not kill our friends. That is...
He's also just kind of annoying.
Is
gross.
he the way that you'll get home?
I mean,
No.
his bag probably has a way for us to get home, but I don't know that for sure. I'm having a hard time looking at you. You're so pretty. Oh,
She smirks again.
he like kicks a rock and is just like, I just
She-
uh,
turns to the rest of you. So where will you go?
to find the Scarecrow Man.
We'll have to find the Scarecrow.
Scarecrow of the face.
Some weird plot twist on Wizard of Oz.
Well, yeah,
She says, "I've heard of other worlds,
we've got a
but
Scarecrow and a good witch and a bad witch.
I don't have power to go to any nor to send you."
Just to raise the dead. That was out of character. That was out of character.
Freaking
See,
shots
she
fired.
majored in resurrection studies. So,
No, Lil's not.
She's very
being
concentrated. in her
Yeah.
Lil's
disciplines.
being very like.
it's
quiet.
a,
dead.
you know,
Life and
it's an
death.
engineering degree.
Lil's
It's
just
very highly
focused.
focused.
What Lil's doing.
No, I'm like actually being. I'm like very quiet, just kind of standing there, like taking it in.
Just, you know, enjoying breathing.
Breathing.
Hey!
Hey! I did it.
A joke.
That hurts me.
I forgot
Real
you're
life me.
I forgot you're allergic to puns.
It's so bad.
Do you need an EpiPen for that?
I don't know.
Not for that one.
An EpiPen. All right, moving
Ah.
on.
Hey, there it is. There it
There,
is.
yep.
What?
An EpiPen?
That's what I said.
Oh, I just
I thought
heard
you said
EpiPen.
EpiPen.
You said
No.
EpiPen.
Oh,
Well,
my bad.
my inflection was weak.
It wasn't
Oh,
as-
really?
it
You already
wasn't
made
as-
that joke?
That was like
was the
that
joke.
was the joke.
Oh.
I
But
didn't
apparently
get
my
it.
inflection was not what I thought it was.
That's okay.
I quit
because
the
then I
show.
made joke.
I literally can't do this anymore, guys. My real life body's making death saves right now.
It's like the opposite of hideous laughter.
Fancy
So-
lady.
Hideous.
Yeah, I'm a fancy lady. Excuse me, Bernard, I'm talking to your girlfriend.
You're talking to yourself?
Thank you.
Fancy lady.
So actually, when you say that you're talking to his girlfriend, Elden nods because he understands what that means.
We've come full circle. Love it.
Do you happen to know anyone who maybe can do that? Or like any places here that are maybe thin when it comes to going in between maybe worlds or time or planes or maybe existences? Really any weird magical spots you can think of?
You're a very learned goblin. I really admire that about you, Luca. Those are a lot of big words that I don't know what they mean, but that's great.
Can you
Like
Can you
time.
not read?
I mean, it's questionable.
You know that goblins can read.
Really?
Yes.
I just want to point out that time is 4 letters. Plane, 5 letters. These are not big words.
Magic.
Existence. That was a big word.
Also-
Existence was the biggest word in that whole
Magical in
speech.
nature. We'll
You guys
talk
are
about
really
being
ruining my
condescending.
joke.
I need you to
Real
understand.
hostility from the party for
I
some
need you to
unknown reason.
I need you to understand why your joke was bad and I'm mad at it. Not really.
I just turned around and You're my only friend.
She pauses to consider for a moment. She says, "There are places with anomalies. Sometimes folks disappear. That's
exactly what we're looking for.
that's
Probably what we
You go
all
to this one street corner.
Oh yeah, no,
everyone
like,
disappears from over
most
there.
people who go into the cave of the 1,000 wolves don't come back. So
They must be
We're
going to
not
the
sure if
she's
that's
like,
a
"You
magical
know about
reason, though."
That's precisely what I was thinking. No.
the 1,000 wolves is actually one creature. It's just like a sentient mass of wolves.
like Rat King.
Yeah.
I never want to play in a
Multi-bear.
campaign that you DM.
Multi-bear. Multi-wolf.
That's why we never played again.
Yeah, that's good. How did you know that was one of my monsters for Fate? The 1,000 wolf.
She says, sometimes folks there, they disappear, and sometimes they come back, sometimes they don't. But that seems to be the only thing I can match to maybe what you're looking for. Maybe when they leave, they go back to where you came from.
That would be helpful.
I have a question. I have a question, not for you, milady. Milady. Why do we want to go back to our last I checked, reality sucked. We were all in jail, and then we were slaves. This place seems a lot cooler.
Okay, I walk up to Bernard. I take the wand. I point my finger in your face.
I got a full freaking spell slots.
No.
Covered.
I like I put it in your face and I put it in my bag. And I just like stare at you like I dare you to come take it back from me.
You first have to take it from me because I definitely will try to keep it.
Okay, attack roll.
Are you going?
Dex.
I think
Are
it-
you
is,
go-
it, is it attack roll? I think
Bernard.
it's not contested.
Bernard, after
I think
killing
it's
me,
attack roll dex save.
Are you really gonna
after
fight her
killing
after
me,
being-
are
Yeah.
you really
I didn't
gonna
kill you.
try-
her
The
death?
idea is
After
you're gonna try and
killing
invade,
me,
right?
are
and,
you
like,
really
not
gonna
let
try
her
this
take
anyway?
it.
Yeah.
So it's technically like armor class or dex save territory.
Right,
feel
but
like
it'd
this
be
is
like
more like a-
contested dex save.
This is
it's
more
not
like a
attack.
persuasion and charisma save kind of scenario. I think.
Intimidation.
Yeah, like it's like moral force.
Yeah,
that's
can I
gonna
try
take it
to?
from
Can
you.
I see if I scare him?
You can
Sure.
scare him into
Or at
giving
least
it to
guilt
you.
him into it.
Yeah, like hoping you have
Yeah,
some kind of
Like an
conscience.
intimidation check or something.
Yeah, you can do intimidation.
Just basic
You're
human
gonna
decency.
intimidate him into giving it to you.
We already
Again,
know he
12
doesn't
year
have
old.
that.
It's a very
Intimidate him
Hey,
into like
man,
not
different scale.
not
Just
reacting.
because you were a monster at 12 does not mean everyone is.
I rolled a 13.
13 intimidation.
What do I roll to
Um,
contest that?
I think it's just a charisma save.
Charisma save?
Yeah,
19.
so though you were responsible for her death, you feel nothing when she kind of like...
No, in Bernard's brain, it wasn't
Sure.
my fault. It was the
I
Scarecrow's
know,
fault.
that was meta.
Yeah, I know. I'm just letting you know, in Bernard's brain, he has no moral obligation to your death.
Yeah, so he doesn't seem phased by like...
In Blair the player's
I
brain, he
would-
does feel a little bad.
Also like to intimidate with a Bernard, put the wand away and I never want to see it again.
Okay.
That's a 23.
23 what?
Intimidation.
You're
Put the wand
that doesn't
away.
intimidate
Never.
me.
Okay.
No, apparently it does intimidate me.
I'm gonna just come up
That's
and have a
my
very
action.
quiet, civil conversation with Bernard about personal responsibility.
You're gonna dad him
Yep.
for good fatherly
Can you roll a father check, please?
I'm, canonically, Lash is only 20, but I think Dragonborn have like a younger age of
I think they're
adulthood,
like
so...
around 80,
What?
80 years, somewhere like that.
No, but yeah, like they live
So they-
like for human lifespans, but they mature earlier is the
mature.
idea. So yeah, I'll roll to dad. I guess that would be persuasion.
So
Yeah.
many people
That's,
are approaching me and doing
Weird.
things.
That's an
Oh my
unnatural
God.
20.
What do I have to roll? I'm already intimidated by Mom telling me to put it away.
Well, yeah, no. This is the. I'm not mad. I'm just.
Just disappointed.
No, not even disappointed. It's just like, look, there comes
You're
a
not
time in every
disappointed?
boy's life where he finds new, exciting wands to play with. But
I feel like I have to play with my wand all the time. It's like I'm compelled to play with it at all times. I just want to touch my wand and look at it.
I like stab myself again.
and I nod patiently and I say, but there's a time and a place.
Okay, I guess that's fine. But I still want to find the Scarecrow to enact revenge for killing our friend.
Well, yeah.
You can go do that now. Goodbye.
Imagine I said all of that in a British accent earlier.
I don't understand what's happening. Why are you all so mad at me?
Oh, you stupid.
Okay, Bernard, we tell
You
Bernard to
hear
shut up.
from like way in the distance, Craven's voice. This guy's an idiot.
What is your intelligence?
0.
Okay.
There might come a time where we
Yeah,
need
but
to
zero.
put Bernard down in his sleep.
I like
just,
that. I
you
like
know.
that idea now.
Well, he's-
Time.
Oh, you guys don't like Bernard. You would love my next character. Please kill Bernard.
I say we try and see if we can get Bernard. I say
Oh, you
we
thought
can,
Bernard was bad?
I vote we see if we can trap Bernard in the lantern.
Well, there's that ring that can shrink things, so we need to
Oh
get
my
it back
god!
from
I
that.
just shrink it and then put him in the lantern.
Yeah, we had it set to M for Minnie.
Okay, actually, I wanna turn to the lady and I wanna
W for Wumbo.
I'm gonna go down on one knee and say like I owe you my life. I don't know.
She like motions towards you. No, stand, please. You owe me nothing. It was really nothing at all.
Maybe 50 gold between friends. What's that?
She's become very curious, just based on all the exchange that's happened, and
Where we
a little perturbed.
tag team parented this boy.
A little perturbed, but curious. She says, "Well, I think that maybe I can help you further. If you want to get home, maybe I can point you in the right direction. If you want to stay, well, if you stayed, what would you do?"
Leave him somewhere, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, if Bernard
Just let him-
stays, I'm going home.
Just leave him somewhere alone with the wand and wait for him to kill himself by accident.
Shoot!
Bernard comes back
No.
as like the fire god. He just like decimates the material plane. My friends abandoned me, so I will kill everyone.
It's a superhero, or a supervillain origin story.
This is how Lucifer
But
exists.
yeah, but
in this universe.
then we're just all like, well, yeah, now he's an actual supervillain, but he was always pretty much a piece of shit. There's not really much difference.
The signs were there.
we should have seen this coming.
It's like, yeah, like when they interview the neighbors of a killer and they're always like, oh no, I had no idea he was so quiet. We're like, nah,
No, that's
that
not
makes
right.
sense.
Makes sense.
I'm just like he murdered me
surprised.
once.
Oh yeah, like
He murdered me with fire once, so
To be
that
honest-
checks out.
I saw this coming.
to be honest, I'm surprised it took this long. Anyway,
We're done.
So if you stay, what will you do?
We don't really have like clear set life plan either here or there. So like,
I do.
I do.
Yeah, I want to go back to Lonith.
Yeah.
Okay, well, see
What
ya.
does it say on your goals on your character sheet?
Whole lot of nothing. Well, my goals are. I don't have any.
Okay, Bernard, you can stay here, but we're going to try and figure out how
This is
to
gonna
go
be a weird podcast for people to listen to and watch
we're gonna split the party.
forever.
Bernard's gonna stay
yeah, it'll be like,
here.
all right, and now it's time for the Bernard minute. And it's like Bernard is waving that wand around.
Bernard
Still
has
just
to
going
eat
at
for
it.
2 weeks.
He's
You think
Close
he
to
would get raw
starvation.
after 2 weeks, but no, he just keeps flicking the wand.
wow.
I have to use my other hand now.
Oh my god.
The joke is dead.
No, no.
Please, the joke is dead.
Oh no!
It's super dead.
You gave me a wand.
The problem is, that there's two separate jokes here. Like, oh, on the one hand, like Bernard is gonna blow himself up with his wand, and then the other one, it's like, nope, it's a joke about penises.
Again, you should have seen this coming.
I did when he said wand. I was like, oh no,
You could have done something.
that's your fault.
This is on you.
Should have made it
I
like
suppose I did ask him to be on the show.
you should have made it like a magical glove or something.
That's no better.
Anyways.
All right. So we want to go home.
That's
Love
true. It's
that.
not better.
He's just burned off.
We do want to go home.
Yeah.
She says,
Wait, why do we want to... I still am confused why we want to go home.
Shh, we're going home.
Okay.
How do we get home?
Time to hush now and let
This
the
world
grown-ups
seems
speak.
bad. When was the last time any of you had a scarecrow give you a magical item in the reality of our world? Granted, it did blow up
when's
and kill us.
I just like
When's the
look
last
at you
time
as
you
you're
blew
saying
yourself
that.
up with a fireball?
Exactly
in
my point. When was the last time anything in our world ever did anything that cool? Again, I realize
It wasn't cool.
it might be a little too soon, but he said he had other things. Like, what else is in this world? Like, what? Why are we wanting to leave so fast?
Mostly because of the swamp hags and the
I do have
treacherous
silence.
scarecrows.
Please.
20-foot radius. Everything gets real quiet.
That's fine.
Just walk him over somewhere and then like
Stay here.
Tie him to a tree. like with a collar, not like hogtied, like a dog.
and then we all go.
Like enough room to run around a little bit and
How
tear
long does that
himself
spell
out.
last?
Okay.
Just keeps like,
I don't think we should keep it. I don't think we should
Okay.
keep the lady with.
Grappling.
That would be great.
You cast the spell.
It's funny because in the other campaign that we've played that Bernard is in, I have had to use silence
Yeah,
on him before.
I was there.
Yeah.
No.
Yes.
Yep. But the problem is that
it's
it's
weird that nobody likes Bernard. It's
the
so odd.
problem is that it stays fixed to a point, so
Yeah.
we just walk through the 20
him.
foot
I don't mind not talking.
You do so much talking.
Yeah, so much.
Guys, my cheeks hurt from smiling.
I know.
Okay.
My ears and my cheeks.
I vote we stop talking.
Wait,
"This is the rest of the show. We'll just sit in silence."
Okay, I'm casting silence
And we
on
We'll
this
just- yeah.
20 range.
we'll just
listen.
quietly roll dice and be like, or
For like
It's
5
just dice
seconds
rolling
while we
ASMR.
listen to what she has to say.
what's happening?
We just
My
changed,
rolling
dice
dice.
ASMR.
we changed genre of video from
Very quickly.
role-playing show to dice ASMR.
Oh, one.
All right.
That was a very
Is that
nice
part of
roll.
it?
I like
My
that
lady,
roll. Yeah. Quiet talking.
what did you have in mind to help us?
That one happened to be a natural
Well,
20.
if you wait here, I can potentially craft some things or enhance some of the items you already have. She takes a look around at
No. No.
Can you make this not kill
Actually-
my friends?
Yes, take
I
that.
pointed it over there, but it blew up in my hand. Can you do something about
Yeah,
that?
take the wand
No, don't take it.
I
and then don't
Can.
give it back.
Wait, you can take it, or you can make it not kill my friends.
She has to take it to fix it.
There's a difference between taking it and, like...
Make it a wand of silence.
My lady.
But tell him it's exactly the same.
My lady,
she
that's how I died.
all of a sudden, like, she notices something. She says, "You should get rid of that as soon as you can.
What? I don't... Why? What's wrong with it, other than it killing my friends?
Cursed."
Oh, that explains a lot. Not my fault.
You
Wait,
you trusted the.
Oh,
How is it first?
I bet that this means you're going to turn into a scarecrow that gets trapped inside a tower, and
Keep
we
the
all
wand.
leave you behind because you're a scarecrow that everyone hates.
It's a lot of hypotheticals.
Really good at assuming curses on items.
I'm like writing down like, wait, say that again.
Or I was just like, how did you know about 3rd grade? This is actually his origin story.
Did we just free, like, 8-year-old Bernard? And now 13-year-old Bernard wants to kill him?
So yeah, she she's like, I can destroy it, but if you continue to try to use it, it's not going to go well for you.
Can you uncurse it?
I could try.
The destroy probably is that.
Yeah, it's like defusing a bomb. You kind of just
Yeah,
She
but can
says-
you not?
Place it here. And she points to the ground.
Okay.
She doesn't even want to touch it. That's fine.
Her hands glow white again as she concentrates.
I back
And-
up really far.
PTSD kicks in full swing.
You see
again fire resistant. I don't care.
You see like almost like kind of like a force field kind of like go around it, sort of like a teal light, and you can still see through it, but it's just like the outline of teal, and all of a sudden it goes completely white on the inside of the sphere, and then the whole thing disappears in an instant, and she says, "Looks like no."
That's convenient.
Couldn't be
Destroy it!
and
Isildur!
I couldn't
And-
save the wand.
well, the wand is actually gone now.
Oh, thank
Yeah, that's
God.
what I thought you were meaning by that. That's
Yeah,
convenient.
no, I got it.
DM give it, DM
Oh
take it away.
no!
The
This
good
is the
DM
worst
gives.
possible case scenario, but not we're so sorry.
Blessed be the name of the
Yeah,
DM.
you're right.
Oh.
Blessed be the name of our DM, the great Lord and Savior DM. Oh, now I really have to find that scarecrow.
Thanks, God.
Apparently,
She
it's now
says-
my life mission.
She says,
That's your new character motivation.
Yup.
I don't recommend getting anything else from him.
No, I want to hurt him.
Oh.
Slowly.
Well, I mean, he probably doesn't have that much
Straw, yeah.
HP. He's made of wood.
I want to light him on fire.
That'll
get
probably go
some-
pretty quickly.
With other means.
Some winged monkeys
That was
to tear him
implied.
apart piece by piece.
She
Like they did to
she
the
turns
Scarecrow.
to Elden and says,
What?
Elden,
In the what?
can you get our friends some food and have them wait a while? I need to collect some things.
Isn't there some stuff about
Yeah.
fairy food?
You're not supposed to eat fairy food.
Actually,
Does
yeah,
that
we
apply
have
here?
a good amount. Do we have a name?
Do the same fairy rules apply
Yeah.
here as in our?
A lot of really basic
Is
questions.
there lore about fairy food? That's a
Yeah.
Are we hungry? Has time passed?
Or is this like totally okay?
I will eat Elden, and it'll be fine.
Bernard is on his knees while they're all asking this
I
question.
rolled a
He's looking where the
nat
wand
20.
was.
Can we eat
Quietly
fairy
weeping.
food in this world?
You
Or is there like superstitions about
know that from fairy stories that there's all kinds of weird stuff that can happen no matter what you do in the Fae, and some of that is associated with eating of food and the effects it might have on you. That was what roll?
it? A 20.
Okay. For what check?
Oh, that's a natural 20.
I think I was doing perception or
It's a natural 20, so literally.
Be like
Yeah.
history or
History
arcana.
or arcana.
Okay.
I don't know.
But,
I don't know what the
Yeah,
things do.
Probably
but,
history. If you were trying to think about the the stories of
Okay.
food in this world, probably history.
but you also get the sense that this creature isn't a trickster type. So the food makes you think like
Just make sure you eat
food,
bread and salt
maybe
first.
not.
It's lambus bread.
bread and salt is an actual thing. Just throwing that out there. That's a real thing.
Yeah,
If
we
you
have
go to
bread
the
and
fairy
salt here.
world.
No, I mean like if you eat bread and salt, like they're not allowed to hurt you. That is a concept that exists in different contexts.
Is it real?
No, I don't believe in fairies.
Take that!
I was gonna say I don't care. I don't care if it feels Tinkerbell. I don't believe in fairies.
And you guys thought Bernard was a monster.
Eldon falls over dead.
Ah, he's a pixie.
I roast him with my
Totally
fire.
different.
And
Totally different thing.
This is terrible.
I regret everything.
Elden's fine.
I regret nothing. I
Yeah.
wanted to eat.
Elden-
Okay,
Elden is not
I'm
dead.
gonna eat the food. I'm probably hungry after dying.
Okay, so
Dying works up an appetite.
I would assume so.
Yeah.
so
Natural one.
4.
I was gonna go find a stick.
Please, look inside yourself and choose not to.
I rolled a natural one, so the universe doesn't want me to do it.
Universe.
Yeah, universe is on our
so
Even
the
the universe like, Blair, shut up.
so
So dumb he can't find a stick in the woods.
Apparently.
Elden flies up into one of the trees nearby, and the lady walks over to the tree that you guys watched grow, and she pulls out a knife, like a long, slender silver knife, as she approaches the tree, and she just begins to go to work, cutting pieces away from the tree, a branch, and sets it aside. She pulls out a couple like crystal vials and stabs the tree, and as some of the sap, it's just like a silver liquid, pours out, she captures drops of it, and then puts it back into where she pulled them out from. She moves to a spot on the tree where there are a couple like knots, and actually like carves out circular shapes from them, and drops those pieces into the bag. And she puts away the dagger at this point, and her hands begin to glow white again as she pulls a large piece of bark off the tree. And with all these things in her hand, she picks back up the pieces she had taken as well and walks back over to the group. As she was working, Elden flew back down with a small plate of berries that he kind of set in on the ground between all of you. And there's also some small like pastry-looking breads, and he just kind of sets them down and says,
Like pixie size small?
No, these
What is this, a meal for ants?
Like you need tweezers to pick them up.
No, it's not a pixie size plate or food. It looks like food that you almost recognize. And he says, enjoy.
Thank you.
And then he kind of just like walks a few feet away and sits down and watches this lady work.
I give him a wink that says, "I'm not going to eat you yet," because you got me other food.
That's a great thing.
Yeah, it's a very
Very
articulate wink.
Like very
One of the most
articulate.
articulate
So
things ever.
half of Dragonborn communication is actually winking, and
New lore.
so you actually have to start winking a
My
lot.
friends call me Lash.
Yeah,
I do hope we
I need
can
to
be
learn
friends.
Morse code.
There's so much subtlety in the winks.
Depending on the speed and the
Yeah.
The
squintiness of the wink.
duration, the angle.
I feel bad for anyone who tries to watch this show or like experience the show through podcast, because like you get to see people wink.
And that's
That's
clearly
exactly why people
Whoa.
tune in.
that's clearly good. That's gonna be the highlight for the people watching on
Winks,
YouTube.
please sponsor us.
Yeah,
There's
Human
probably a company
eyelid.
called Winks.
Please
There's a
sponsor.
TV show called Wink. Nobody watched
Humanity,
Winks?
please.
Winks
I
the
did.
no, I didn't watch it.
I didn't watch it.
I was
just-
aware of its
Club.
existence.
Love Winx Club.
Thank you. Winks Club
So
was
cool.
fantastic.
It didn't look very good to me.
It was
It was
great.
It was
I
awesome.
never watched it.
What is it?
It was like
Winx
fairies,
Club.
fire-powered fairies, and like
Each one had a different element.
I don't know. I didn't
It's
watch
really
it. I just
cool.
saw
I
that.
And one of them, her
I liked
element was
it.
electricity, and so she could like talk to her kitchen appliances.
Okay.
So
I wasn't that into it.
that's
I
how
think
that
I watched
works.
everything I read
Relationship.
like something or watched something and that was done.
That's awesome.
Okay,
Alrighty,
Winks. Sponsor us.
Winx Club. If you're still
Can we
around,
They
Club.
are.
We've
So-
already asked stuff that's not alive or real to sponsor us. It's not far-fetched to ask a television program that's no longer in existence to give us monetary compensation.
We have no pride. Literally anyone sponsor us.
I feel like to go from C.S. Lewis's butthole all the way up to
remember
Wink
that
to
being
don't
funny.
remember
full
that.
circle.
There's no.
I do not remember that.
Stop telling me.
I regret some things in my life.
You asked all of us to be involved
This
with
is
this.
your fault.
You're the DM.
Hence, regret being one of the ones I just said. Anyway,
Oh, so you can blame him, but not a scarecrow. I see how it is.
Yeah.
I mean, technically, he's the scarecrow.
That's
Yes, he's the scarecrow.
okay. Anyway, she lays down all of the items she collected about 20 feet away from you, as if she's going to continue to work on them. But she motions for Vuka to come over.
comes over.
Okay.
Come on over.
She takes the
She's
You're not part of
sticky
this one.
from berries.
great, perfect.
Okay.
she takes the branch that she cut from the tree, and she takes out her knife again and just carves a rune into it that looks like the letter F, as far as you can tell, because you can read
Friendship.
common. Okay, great. So
Again, Luca can read.
I don't know if there were like spell books in Goblin that you were reading, but
No, the gnome that taught her the druid.
or
stuff.
gnomish.
Yeah. He had spell books. And
F is for
stuff.
friends.
Okay, so anyway, it looks like the letter F. The arms are on the F are bent and intricate. It looks kind of like a rune. And she hands you what now looks like a staff after she's carved into it and says, "This will help you escape from your enemies, little one." She pats you on the head and shoos you off as if you were a child.
Does Vuka run away giggling holding the staff?
Is it a
She
Buka-sized
skips.
staff, I'm assuming? So not an adult.
And
You're not like, okay.
Carry two hands, like, wow.
It's actually Gandalf sized.
so, meta, basically, what it's going to do for you is when you wild shape, the turn that you do your wild shape, you don't take opportunity attacks. So it basically allows you to escape from enemies if you have shifted.
Okay. I have nimble escape as a thing already.
What does it do?
It's you disengage or hide as a bonus action on each of your turns.
Okay. It doesn't require
bonus
any
action.
action. It's just
Okay.
if you have wild shaped,
Okay.
you cannot be hit by opportunity attacks. She then looks over at the blue-haired boy and motions for him to approach.
Please don't give him magic.
She says,
Give me a wand of fireball.
Yeah.
Give me a wand of
No,
fireballs.
she just makes your hand into a wand of fireballs.
I become Iron Man?
no.
Damn
Yes,
She
but
says,
that hand always fireballs no matter what it does now.
Wait, I need to know is it my left or right? This is very important. For 12-year-old reasons.
as you approach,
Wow.
she says, "Don't be nervous." She can see that you've been nervous.
Yeah, this is my first time.
No.
Interacting with a lady
12 years old.
in any capacity.
Guys, I made
So-
a 12-year-old character because that's all I got.
Okay, anyway.
This is not how I was when I was 12. Just throwing that out there.
So she,
I was like, this is 12.
based on the way this is going, I don't want this scene to progress the way that I wrote it.
No, come on. No, you have to.
Please do.
You have to.
Okay.
I'm excited now. This is
Oh,
gonna be
boy,
great. Okay,
okay.
here we go. Let me drink some
It
water.
doesn't have to be bad. I didn't write it to be bad.
No, but there's a word in there that he's gonna latch onto. I guarantee it.
the whole thing is latchable.
Here we
Not
go.
too late.
I'm ready.
Okay, so,
my body is ready.
It's like the word rope, wand, staff,
Okay,
rock,
so
probably.
I am so glad that I marked all of our episodes mature because anyway.
Wait. No. You're supposed to mark them immature.
for technically over 18, but still immature audiences.
You have to be over 18 to watch this. We have to have the maturity of a 13-year-old.
My people.
Okay. So as you approach, she takes up your right hand and places what she cut out from the tree that is basically a small ring of silver wood and places it on your middle finger. She takes out her dagger and while still holding your hand kind of turns the ring under the pressure of the blade and basically carves a line all the way around the ring with the blade, returns the blade to her belt, and inspects it closely after making the cut and says, "There, all set. Now you will remain sharp in all of your many skills." And she lets go of your hand back to your side and kind of notices your hair and kind of like touches and tousles it and says, looks back over at the rest of the party, and then back to you. Right, then you've been here before? And then
Dun dun dun.
A gerbil randomly pops up.
and then kind of like sees a look on your face like, oh, you didn't know. You have fairy blood in you.
I see what you did there.
So she says, well, I'm sure we'll meet again. Winks again and shoos you off.
Bernard doesn't say anything. Bernard is just like completely shell-shocked.
So the ring adds 1 to all of the abilities you're proficient in. So +1 to all your checks that you're proficient in. I will be adding I'll be adding the actual items to D&D Beyond, so you can see exactly what they do. Please sponsor us. It's such a convenient interface to be able to tell.
The revamped character sheets are really just grade A.
They always have improvements to all of the interface. They're just lovely people. We love them personally. We know them all. Anyway,
We love them personally.
They were the best men at my wedding.
And women, and everything in between. We don't discriminate.
so as she kind of like shoos you off in a similar way, and then motions for Esteban to come over, and similarly takes your hand.
Esteban would immediately like put his hands up. They're like, sorry, my lady, I don't mean to be rude. I noticed that they came back with stuff. I'm assuming it's magical because you're very magical. I don't want a magical item. I was hoping you could tell me how to get rid of my magic.
Get rid of your magic.
Please. I don't want it.
Let me take a look. She reaches out and puts 2 fingers just on your brow and closes her eyes. And for like 30 seconds, just completely still. She kind of like, as if coming back to after maybe seeing something, recoils her hand and says, I'm not sure I'm going to be able to do anything. You're from another place. It's kind of beyond what I'm familiar with. I'm sorry.
Okay, well, thank you for looking. Anyway.
It's probably rude to refuse a gift from a magic lady.
She says, would you still like what I have to give?
I mean, does it do magic?
It does magic.
She says, you know, I can actually help some with your concerns.
Okay. Yeah, that would be great. Thank you.
And she goes to take your hand.
Okay.
And another one of the rings that she cut from the tree, she slides onto your finger.
This feels like the prologue to Lord of the Rings. She's an elf lady making a bunch of magic rings. This could end badly.
Wait, Bernard Sauron isn't he?
No.
Wait, what?
I become the eyeball, the floating in the
Yeah, that checks out.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
Instead of in your brain, it's hi!
No,
You're ready to fuck some shit up, my dude! We're gonna do some bad shit up in here! We're gonna come to my house and play Fortnite!
Hey, Orc Bros! There's a bunch of hobbits! Get them!
Making a fan trailer tonight, redubbing the whole movie.
Sauron doesn't.
Yeah, like whenever like,
It would
they
be
do
like
the...
maybe 3 minutes of work.
When they like
Not a lot.
I said about real life.
when they hear like the poem and like they see the writing on the ring, it's just like Ashnas Battle. Oh no!
Sorry, go ahead.
Good times.
I'm sure it's going to sound great on the recording.
Yeah, so as she puts the ring on your finger, she carves 3 lines equidistant from each other across the top of the ring.
Equidistant.
And
Got you, bro.
It's either.
I say equidistant.
Doesn't
You're the
really
worst.
matter.
Take that.
And she says, "This will help with the surges. It should give you a bit of control."
Okay.
And then she looks
Thank
you right in the eyes, and then looks to the rest of the party and says, "They're going to need your help. You'll keep them out of trouble, won't you?"
I'm gonna do
No.
what I can.
It's like,
I try to be a responsible human.
"Well, good. Don't leave them." And
Seriously.
Don't
shoos you
split the
back.
party.
She
Thank
sends you
you.
back away, and then she motions for Lash to come over.
Mm-hmm.
You
Wait,
come
what
over.
does it do?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, there's a thing.
The mechanic is that when a magical surge happens,
Mhm.
you get to pick from 2 effects.
Okay.
So it gives you a little control over that
Mhm.
piece of it.
Rolling twice, right? Like, or just.
Not rolling twice. There will be 2 effects. Yeah, right, exactly.
Yeah.
So
roll twice.
you would roll
and I
twice
pick
and
And you
choose
pick one
between
of the
one.
two.
of
In
the
which
As opposed to like just
the
pick
DM
2 off
will-
the list,
yeah.
which is
That's what I thought. I was
sounded
like,
like.
wow.
These
It's
require
like, yeah, like you
attunement.
just get to do all the good ones all the time.
She has basically attuned them to you.
But they would take up an attunement slot.
Correct.
Okay.
How many of those do we do?
3 attunements.
Okay, yeah, so you walk over,
Yep.
Flash. She says, "May I have your shield, Sir Knight?" And kind of like smiles playfully.
Yeah, I hand it over.
She asks, "Are you attached to this one? Any sentimental value?"
Not particularly. You know, it's function over form, all that.
Great. She sets it down on the ground and takes out her knife and cuts the leather straps off of it. And she takes some of the tree sap from one of the vials and places it on the spots where she just cut off the leather straps. She places it on the piece of bark that she removed from the tree and then places those leather straps onto the bark as if creating a new shield for you from the bark of the tree. Her hands glow a bit afterward, as if like curing the glue, if it's a sort of glue. And then she hands it back to you and says, "May your enemies be ever hunted, and may you never become the prey."
I bow slightly.
Boy. Now you got a new shield.
Cool.
Yeah, bro.
No different mechanically. Just
It just looks cool.
a different shield.
It's a wooden shield now.
I actually want you to make a perception check real quick.
Okay. I don't get to know what mine does.
No, you will. This is for something else.
All right. That's 14 plus 2, 16.
Okay, so what kind of shield did you have?
I don't know that I actually specifically said, but in my head it was like a heater shield, so like one of the like metal like sort of kite type chipped ones. Yeah.
Great. So
Or yeah, like what my mini has.
Okay, so you noticed, so with leather straps and all? Okay,
Yeah.
so you noticed that when you handed it to her, she didn't touch any part of the metal. It's just
Okay.
something you noticed.
Well, yeah.
Okay, so your shield. She's trying to remember what it does.
That's cool. So what else is new with you guys? Anything cool happening?
Yeah, this ring's fucking badass.
That was out of character.
Oh no,
that wasn't
it was
Lash.
totally in character. Plus, she put it on my middle finger. This ring is badass. I love this ring so much. I love Bernard with all of my being.
You are literally the only one.
I'm 100% okay with that.
If I ever play a character who isn't good aligned,
Bernard's dead.
yes.
Okay. So it is going to give you like when you get it back, you kind of like test it, kind of knock your hand against it, and it's super light. But you like it feels way stronger than the metal you were using. It mechanically gives you a +1 to your AC, and once per day you can cast the Pass Without a Trace spell on yourself.
Okay.
It gives him a +1 on top of the +2 the shield
Yeah,
gives.
so it's a +1 magic shield, I assume.
Yeah.
Right?
Correct.
That's badass.
Yeah, that's not
Cool,
bad.
we can both cast that.
Is that a Genasi thing?
Genasi have
Okay.
Pass Without a Trace.
I don't really like Genasi, so I don't ever.
Whoa!
Cool. I'll just keep that in mind.
Not like racially. I mean, like mechanically, I don't like building a Genasi character.
Okay, so she motions now Lil over.
I approach and I like incline my head a bit.
She says,
Oh, right,
"Be careful traveling with these ones.
Oh yeah, I know.
They're not careful."
I am aware.
And she says, "You have many talents, I see. They could use some refining. You will get stronger and better." She says, "May I see your cloak?"
Okay, I hand it to her.
She takes it and she moves a hand over it, glowing white, and the places where it was charred a bit from the fire, they mend, and it looks brand new, like super clean. And then she takes one of the vials with the sap in it, and she just drops a drop on it, and it just like it looks like it would have landed and like gotten the cloak wet, but it just disappears as soon as it lands, and it almost looks like it actually did disappear and didn't touch it at all. So she holds it back and she says, "Silent as the moon and eyes like the owl." She, like in a similar way, nods over to the party to say something about them. She says, "Keep watch over them. They will need your eyes and ears," and shoos you off.
I think we just got charged with being mom and dad.
We both have to watch for the party. She's like, they're not very careful.
But mechanically, what that
Does this take up one of my magic items if I already had it?
So there's a difference between just having magical items and them being attuned to you. Attunements, you can only have 3 at any given time. But you can hold as many magic items as you can hold.
Yeah, usually the attunement is for like these OP magic items. Like super magic items are
versus
super magic items usually require attunement.
So when you put the cloak back on, you actually feel you don't even know how to describe it, but you feel like a little more nimble and perceptive. And mechanically what that's going to do is going to give you +2 to stealth rolls and perception rolls when you're wearing the cloak. And it's attuned to you.
That brings my stealth up to 9.
Pretty good.
Next, she motions over to Ron, kind of for you to come. Do you?
I do.
Great.
No.
No, I'm just gonna stay over here. I don't want shit.
As you get closer, like her, again, like her eyes glow like silver.
Mine are glowing amber, so.
Eye glowing buddies.
Yeah, so it's like a silver and gold kind of thing, and it's like, ooh.
Amber, ew, gold.
There you go.
Amber's pretty gold.
It's more amber than gold.
So she kind of like looks at you, and you can see that she's paying attention to your skin. You get the sense that she's not seen anyone like you before. And she says, I like the look of you. And reaches out and kind of like touches your face, like
Sparks are flying.
as it, like she wants to understand like how the texture feels. And then she says, very beautiful. And you get the sense that
Dude, make your move.
anyway, that's it. So she pulls out from her pack a small cloak and cuts 2 designs into it. And as she's cutting, you kind of recognize hand shapes. As she takes the 2 pieces of cloth, her hands kind of light up as she forms the cloth and almost seals it and binds it together, almost as if she's able to sew magically with the magic. And she holds out what now look like 2 masterfully crafted gloves, and says, put them on. Great.
Nice.
And then she says, let me see your hands. And okay. She takes out the vial and drops 1 drop on each glove. And again, the same thing. The drop of sap just disappears when it hits the gloves. And then is your axe just on your back?
Yeah.
Yeah, she says, now, can I see your axe? It's got a wooden handle?
Yeah.
Okay. She takes it by the wooden handle and just drops 1 more drop onto it and puts it away. And then she hands it back to you and she says, now you'll be inseparable. As you should be, she says. And then she kind of shoos you away.
Did she glue the axe to his gloves?
It's like,
Gloves
great.
of returning.
Oh no! I can't.
So
She tricked me.
when you took the axe back, it was almost like magnetic as the axe like clung to the glove. And
It is glued to his hands. He can't let go.
She's like, what's up, guys? I need to
I'm
eat.
always ready.
so mechanically, while you're wearing those gloves, the handle for that axe, you can't be disarmed while you're holding it, and you gain a +1 to hit with that weapon while you have the gloves on and using that weapon. And then she kind of like her shoulders kind of slump a little bit, and she holds a hand over her face and yawns. Elden kind of notices, like, my lady, are you okay? And she says, yes, just a little spent. She says, but 1 more gift before I send you off. And she takes, again, the vial and says, Elden, can you apply this to their foreheads? And
We're getting tattoos.
Wait, only 4 of us?
Foreheads.
It was.
There's 6 of us.
Yeah. It's
Hey!
the worst.
You just you can't do this to him.
Look, it's one of my life goals to just pun him to death. Honestly.
literal. I feel like
death.
you know.
Punishing him.
Wow. Welcome to the party.
No, like the commercials where it's like, oh, like, you know, like this is like, you know, whoever, like his village needs help or whatever. It's like, that's me right now. Like,
This is David.
He's dying from bun abuse. For just pennies a day, you can save him from puns.
You eat pennies?
No, I will pay you 2 cents a day to not make puns.
It's your 2 cents.
Guys, there's a phobia for puns.
Oh my god.
What's it called?
I'm gonna try to say this. Paranomasiaphobia? Paranomasiaphobia is the fear of puns. Paranomasophia.
No mas.
All right. So Elden takes the vial and basically like sticks his hand into it. It's kind of like a big jar for him, and takes a little bit of the sap and flies up to each one of you. Do any of you like resist what's happening? He's flown up in front of your faces.
No, but I take a look
My
at
lips.
his wings and I think about how tasty they would be.
Yeah.
Okay.
Your mouth starts watering.
So each time before he does anything, he says, "May I?" And all of you, I guess, just nod.
He's so
Um,
polite.
I say you may.
Great. So he just takes a little bit of the sap and does a cross on each of your foreheads.
Are we gonna join? Are we joining the crusade? What's happening?
And
It's Ash Wednesday. We
apologize.
didn't realize
any of you who watch the other ones get applied, you see that like it goes on for just a second and then like disappears as if it absorbs in very
And
quickly.
we're off to fight the Turk in Jerusalem. What's happening?
Just the one Turk, though. Not many. Just
All of you feel kind of like a rush of energy that immediately disappears, and have no idea exactly what it means. But when Elden finishes, he flies back, returns the vial to her. She says, "If you're going home, that will help. Are you ready to go now?"
Wait, you can send us home? I thought you said you couldn't send us home.
I know of
Oh,
places
okay,
where
Okay, I'm just making sure.
folks have disappeared.
Inconsistent, but that's fine.
She answered the question I asked her that you doubted that I had enough knowledge to ask.
Yep.
I can send you to
Cool.
the place.
Let's go.
She says, I can send you to the place where people have disappeared. I don't know that
The Bermuda Triangle.
you will get home, but this may help. Are all of you ready to go then?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Si se puede.
Do you know my dad or mom?
Is she your mom?
I don't know. She said I'm part
Are you
fairy.
my mother?
Is it my mom's side? My dad's side? So many questions. Not enough answers.
I hope it's your
Did you
dad's
have-
side.
I have a question about Fae in this world. So she's an elf, but she's Fae. Are
Let's not go down that road.
That's all I'm saying.
It took me like a solid minute there to figure out what
Let's
you're
not
talking
go down
about.
that road.
Got it.
I missed it, and I'm okay with that.
Same.
So you... She looks like an elf,
Okay.
but you are unfamiliar with the Elden, which are basically the elves that live in the Fae.
Okay, so two different kinds of elves.
There's like
There's
a lot
several.
more.
Well, I mean, like,
Yeah.
like there's the elves from our world, and then elves from this world.
Yep, and the elves in the normal world came from the Feywild,
But like, a really long
but
time
some of
ago.
them are very like disconnected from it and don't live in it at all. So, yes, an elf, but one that's like most elves that like you are and that you would have known. It's
Nothing like her.
very foreign.
Okay.
And she looks pretty different. She's far more pale than any of the elves you've ever seen. The silver hair is not typical of elves, especially wood elves.
Some glowing eyes.
So, she kind of motions Elden over, and he flies up. My lady? She says, you will go with these souls back into their world. I'd like to hear of if they make it, and I'd like to keep an eye on them through you if I can. You get the sense that they will be able to communicate no matter where he is. And then she looks at all of you and says, that is, if they will have you.
Yes.
Can we eat him?
No.
Alden's always welcome on my shoulder.
Lil's like really happy about it because she really likes Elden. She thinks he's cute.
Elden.
Asking for a friend.
I'm
It's
thinking
me,
about.
I am your friend.
Yep.
Elden.
I'm just thinking about the right spice blend for this.
Jeez,
I
why
want
do you
Would he
guys
be a
wanna-
rub or would he be
Yeah.
a sauce?
I'm
kind of
thinking.
thing?
I'm thinking a rub, like a little cayenne cumin.
Raw.
I will murder anyone who touches Elden.
I love the divide of the table.
Every time there's something.
I'm not actually gonna eat it.
So there's a really like mixed. See, this is why you gotta watch the video series.
Watch them.
No, Elden gets this really conflicted look on his face. Like, you know that he's very attached to his lady. He doesn't want to leave, but she's asked him to do something, and he has gained a sort of fondness for certain members of the party.
I'll give him a high five.
Up top, my dude.
Yeah, but I have 3 claws and he has a tiny hand, so it doesn't really work. But
Yeah, if you lifted your hand for a high five, he literally would not understand.
You'd probably flinch out of the way, like, don't.
hit your hand against my hand. It's fun. You'll like it.
Are you really doing this right now?
No.
Great. I'm glad.
It was an
Again, American accent.
It is kind of hard to tell sometimes.
No, it'd be like, post up for a high five, my good man.
Ghost.
Yeah, the English probably have some dumb term for high fives too.
A lot of dumb terms.
We
Yeah.
just lost our entire English.
Right.
Yeah, England, don't sponsor us.
But Harry Potter, please still sponsor.
Yeah, that's in Scotland. It's
We-
fine. The Hogwarts is in Scotland.
Yeah, but Hogwarts. That's.
Harry Potter.
But Harry Potter is not Scottish.
We're not
I
gonna
know.
do Harry Potter corner right now.
Podcast, then a podcast.
We just maxed out our Harry Potter time for this evening.
Okay. So he kind of like resolves and says, "I will do as you ask." And she holds out her hand, and he lands on it, and she kisses him on the top of his head as if he were a child, and says, "Be brave and do come home." And then he nods, says, "Milady," and
He's gonna die in next session. Something's gonna hit him, and he only has like 2 HP.
Oh, he's a negative 1 AC? That's weird.
and then
Something that intentionally
she,
misses him actually goes towards him.
her hand turns like glowing white with magic again as she like touches the top of his head, and she says, "Take them there." And she says, "Go." And you get the sense that she communicated a place to him through magic, and then she turns and begins to walk away, and Elden doesn't immediately direct you guys anywhere. He kind of just like is flying in place, watching as she walks to the edge of the water, and there's a boat there that you would have noticed when you came into the clearing, and she gets in, pushes off with an oar that was in the boat, and paddles out to one of the islands in the lake, and he's just watching the entire time. And she gets out of the boat and goes into the wooded area and disappears from sight. And he kind of like exhales, and then he's like, "Well then, let's go." And begins to lead you out of the clearing and directly east. It's 11.
Mm-hmm.
How y'all feeling?
Tired.
Sleepy time.
All right, so I guess that's a good place to end the episode.
Great timing.
Does the lady have a name? Elden? What is... Does the lady have a name?
Well, then, what is this lady's name? What is this tree? How did she do all of this stuff? What is this made out of? Where did she come from? Where did she go
Elden's
to?
like,
Where did she come from, Cotton Eye Joe?
You're listening to our.
I know it does. I don't do like Slavic very often.
Thanks for watching Dungeons and Dank Memes. Hope you enjoyed the show. If you did, tell your friends, tell your mom. Unless your mom thinks that Dungeons and Dragons is demon worship, then don't tell your mom. But anyway, hope you enjoyed. Hope you come with us next time.